Welcome to Easy Peasy Books, From Author to Authority, the lively and engaging podcast for business professionals who've always believed they have a book in them. I'm your host, Jillian Whitney. Join me as I chat with authors and industry experts from all around the world to explore simple strategies to write, publish, and leverage your business book. Whether you're an entrepreneur, executive, or an employee, this podcast is for you. Woo-hoo-hoo, and we're live once again on another Tuesday, and I have an old friend back in the house today, first time on the new podcast. So welcome Deanna Russo, who is here coming to us from in the United States, in the Ohio area. So before we get stuck in, I'm just going to tell everybody what our show is today. And then Deanna, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. So today we're going to be talking about the power of collaborative publishing for business professionals. And so before we get stuck in, Deanna, can you please tell people who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Jillian. My name is Deanna Russo. I'm a LinkedIn strategist is the quick way to introduce. But basically what I do is I take LinkedIn and I teach people how to treat it like a big networking event. It's all about getting to know, like, and trust. And I show people how to do that through profile engagement and content.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we're talking about books today. The topic's all books on the Easy Peasy Books podcast. So Deanna, why don't you hold it up? Tell us about your book, what your book is. Okay, so it's called Small Business Growth. And this is a unique book because this is what's called a collaborative book project. You have 20 plus authors put this all together. So why don't you just kind of give us the rundown of how you even got involved with this? What is it? How did it all work? And let's just go.
Yeah, you got it. So Laura DeFranco and I were in a networking group together. We hadn't really talked too much offline. I think there was one get to know you call. And I saw that last spring on LinkedIn, she posted about looking for a LinkedIn author for a new book project. And I was already thinking about collaborating, and I was already doing some research on collaborative book projects because I thought if I want to write a book, I thought the easiest way to dip my toe in the water is a collaborative book. Rather than just biting off the whole apple, I thought I'd take a little bite. So she posted about it on LinkedIn. I reached out to her. We had a discussion. I got all the information. And next thing you know, in a matter of months, my name is on the cover of a book, which is really, really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how many authors were involved in this book project then?
It was about 22 total authors. I am chapter number 17 of it.
I love it. Lucky number 17. So that's good. And then I guess one of the biggest questions is, so your book is about small business. So who's the audience of this book? Let's start with that. Who's the audience?
Well, when I first found out about it, I figured it would be just any type of small business owner. And after reading the entire book from cover to cover, it is really for any type of small business owner. It is for people that are just starting. It is for people who are 5 or 10 years in. It is for people that you go through the table of contents and you say, I think I want to know this. And you can skip right to that chapter because it's all about stories and then the strategy. So each of us starts out with a story that could relate to our life, to our business, to the topic at hand, and then we go to the strategy. So any of the above, and then we go into here is how it works for me, and here is what I teach. So
got it.
That's essentially it.
I got it. And so did they try to make sure that you had sort of like an overall, we don't want to have like 5 LinkedIn trainers, or did it matter? Like, how did they kind of organize the content of the book?
Yeah, it really is organized in a way that there is a taste of a little bit of multiple different things. There is Express Your Uniqueness, Secrets to a Jaw-Dropping Brand. That was Melissa Henry's chapter. Reduce Your Tax Burden, a CPA. Michelle M. Burke wrote that one. There's Business Strategies, Networking That Doesn't Suck. Donnie Boving wrote that one. There is Demystifying Video for Business Development. Kyle Steinle wrote that one. And then there's the Staying Power, A Smarter Long Game. So they divided it into 3 different parts. The parts, let me flip the pages: Business Foundations, Business Strategies, Staying Power are the 3 parts. And then an example of a chapter in the 3rd part is Protect Your Empire, legal documents all small business owners need. So there's it's a little bit of everything.
So what part are you in? What's
I am in the strategy part. I'm in the strategies. And I'm right after Mastering Instagram with Maria Del Mar Oliva, and then right before Demystifying Video. So
got it. Yeah. So it's related. It's all sort of related. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So how did you decide upon your topic? Because your topic is what, your triangle strategy?
It's leverage up on LinkedIn. It's all about my triangle strategy. And I start out with a story about the sales job that brought me to LinkedIn, kind of take people behind the scenes on what that whole discussion was like, and then how it brought me to what I'm doing now. And then I go into really detail when it comes to the strategy, into the know and the like and the trust. And it's really allowing people to get to know what this thing is that I'm always talking about, and a little bit information on each part.
I love that. I love that. So can you kind of give us sort of a behind the scenes look on how was this organized? Were you just like, okay, go write your chapter and bring it back? Were you part of a like, how involved are you all working together collaboratively?
Right. Well, Laura had some really good deadlines for all of us, that your title needed to be in on this date and your first draft needed to be in on this date. And then the edit process started, and there would be back and forth on the edits. And so everyone at the beginning of the process knew already the dates and when everything. So I went to my calendar and I put all of the dates in. And once I started the writing, it happened so fluidly, I guess you could say. It happened so, like, it wasn't challenging for me because I knew the strategy already. I knew what I was talking about. So it just kind of happened, I guess you could say, organically. I mean, I didn't struggle with coming with the words for it. And at the first draft to the final draft, a lot didn't change. And then one of the last things that we had to do before it went to print was get people to kind of just recruit some readers to just read it through and see someone completely not related. I wanted to get someone that didn't know me as well on LinkedIn. So I got some people that read it through and just were unbelievably impressed. And then they were able to sign up and read the whole book and then write reviews on Amazon as well. So that Amazon listing is really, really important. So when this all came out, it was all like, mark your calendars and this is the launch, and you want to really push it hard when the book comes out.
Awesome. And I love the idea that you actually had beta readers for your particular chapter. Did you see other people's chapters or not until the book was published?
No, I was able to read a little bit, but I think when I actually got it is when I really dove in, because it's one thing to read it online, but it's another thing to have the hard copy. And so I would take it to basketball practice. I would say, I mean, if anybody knows me, my kids are in every single activity known to man. So this went with me. And the more I read it, the more I'm like, I need to book a call with this person. I need to book a call with this person. And you feel like all of a sudden you have a whole group of friends that went on this entire process with you. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Did you all meet? Like, did you ever have any group meetings and meet
Yeah.
as a group?
Yeah, she has some Zoom meetings, and even now, we still have a community. One of the best things about the collaborative author project is she brings everybody together in a community. So it's been really fantastic that way. There's plenty of networking opportunities, and we're working. A few of us are going to be working on getting to an in-person events together in the Cleveland, Ohio area, for authors. So that's been something like I never would have thought that would happen at the beginning of this process.
That's fun. That's fun. I
Right.
love that. I love that. And so, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is sort of the business side
Mhm.
of doing a collaborative book. So, just with regards to, did you have to sign a contract? Do you own your own content? Can you take it somewhere else? How do royalties work and the pricing and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, there is some fine print things that we have to sign off on. And we did have to pay to be part of it. But it's really, I didn't look at so much of a cost. I looked at it as an investment because now I can say I'm a published author and I am thinking down the road of writing a book myself, and I got really a good taste of what the whole thing is like with this. So yeah, there's a lot to read through, but I think that the pros outweigh any of, I mean, all the in speaking I'll be able to do is I can bring these with me at all my in-person speaking. And we just put it on my website too, so people can go to the Amazon link right to the website and purchase a copy. So it's
Awesome.
it's been a lot of good stuff that have come out of it.
Awesome. And do you get to order author copies at sort of the reduced rate?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good. And it's nice because you can have those drop shipped anywhere on the
Right.
old. It's like so
Right.
convenient. It's so convenient.
Yes. Yes.
That's great. Well, let's hop over to our comments and just make sure that we greet everybody who's with us here today, and then we'll come back because I got some other questions for you. So Jeff Young is here, and he says, "I'm one of Deanna's denizens." What did mean? What does that mean, Deanna?
Well, the audio room that I had for about a year and a half, there was a group of people that would always come in to see us, and I don't remember, Jeff, if it was Annalise or somebody else in the room that gave a little nickname. So I'm glad that he remembers it.
I don't know that. I love that. I love Jeff. He always cheers everybody on. So we have Debbie, who I got to meet last week. I was just telling you about that. I got to meet her in person. Like she was strolling through Texas. So she says, "There you are in the front row, Mr. Young." So that's always nice when people, are sharing their popcorn back and forth. So he says, "Howdy, my traveling friend." They're traveling themselves. Okay. And she's here 100%. I guess that you go away and it kind of wears you out when you do all this traveling. And we've got Tina, who our friend Tina, who is coming in today from Brussels, and she's my collaborative author. So I collaborated with her. So that's what's interesting is that you can write a book by yourself, which I've done. You can collaborate with one person, and there's been several people on the show that have done a collaborative book project with one other person. And then, of course, you, Deanna, is just like blowing it out of the water with 22 authors. I love that. I love that. Jeff says, Tina, help. Hello, super that you're here. Yay. And she says, "I'm excited to hear the 22 author story." So were they all from the United States or were they worldwide, Deanna?
Worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I would say the majority of them are US based. But I know that she had some international ones, and I'd already known a few of them from a networking group that we were part of, but the vast majority I did not know. And I love that when she said, write up a story first, I feel like it's one thing for someone to give advice, but it's another thing for someone to start with a story where you relate And it's just like LinkedIn when I'm always telling people you need to relate to people. So when she said start with a story, I'm like, oh my, I mean, the stories, I had learned so much about these people in the story alone that you want to get to the strategy parts because you see where they have come from. In a lot of cases, it's very personal stories. And you see how that's all scoped and shaped when it comes to the strategy.
Yes. And I believe stories are sticky. And it's such an important part of writing any book because stories, we remember the stories. And when we remember the stories, we remember the point of what the stories we're trying to make. Because if it's just data, if it's just facts, it's pretty darn dry. And it's very hard for us to kind of take that information away. It's like we read it and our brains kind of check out. So I think that's really good that you can get to know people through the stories. Plus also too, it's really kind of like when you have a book like this, Deanna, you're basically getting to know 22 different authors. And then I guess the reader could then say, oh, I'd like to work with that person, because I got to know them. So it's probably incredible in terms of the visibility because you're leveraging the 21 other authors that are bringing people to the book, as opposed to when you're doing a book by yourself, it's just two.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've got to know these people so well that I would recommend people. I mean, without fail, I'd recommend them based on what I've read. Yeah.
Right. No, that makes sense. So Jeff is saying, amazing that 22 authors, the book sounds very organized and not chaotic. Because you can think about it, it's like herding cats, and you just, so, kudos. What was the name of the woman that spearheaded the project? What was
Laura DeFranco. Find her on LinkedIn. Tell her you were listening to the live. I didn't even tell her I was doing the live, but I'm going to send her a link so she can listen at the replay. But yeah, she's a very, very organized, and she's got a team of people that are also organized. So it's not just Laura, but it's people on her team that are making sure that this looks the best it could look. And
yes.
I was just really impressed when I got not only by the visuals, one of the authors actually created the picture here. And so that was really cool. But then also just how organized it is and how there's bold and it's not very dry. It's very captivating to read by the way that it's organized. But she's been doing books now for years. So
awesome. Yeah. Did you get to vote on the cover, or it's like that's not part of your?
That was not part of no. Okay. But even if we did, I think the majority of a lot of the people that wrote in this book have a wellness and healing background. So that's why when this came out, I'm like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. I mean, everyone, when they're talking about being a small business owner, one of the first things that a lot of people do not think of is Zen and wellness. And this is like, you can do this. That's what I'm getting from the cover of this is we're all in this together and you can do this. So right. I love that part of it.
Love this. Okay, so speaking of you can do this, so Michelle B. Griffin says, you should write your solo mini book on your story and strategy, Deanna. So is that sort of a next step for you? Did you get a taste now and you want to try far?
Possibly. I was also thinking of a book that would resonate with people in regards to my personal stories and the personal, the obstacles that I've had to overcome. I lost my sister in a drunk driving crash. I overcame cancer. I've dealt with a lot of stuff, a lot of crap, as somebody could say, in my life. And I've always thought about writing it all down, not so much to just put it all out there, but then to show people the stronger person you become because of going through that. It's not about, my book would not be about sitting in the grief. It would be, look what you can do because of what happened to you. Using that as this is making me stronger. So that's one of the things that I was thinking about doing.
I love that. And you think about it, a lot of times people we only see what we see when we see people. And a lot of times we can look at somebody and say, "Oh, she's got it made in the shade. Like look at all her followers and, look at she's able to do this and able to do that." And I'm here struggling with what's going on in my life. But the thing is that people don't always see that if we don't know you, if we don't get to know you, then we don't know the backstories.
Yeah.
And so it's so easy to just look at other people and just kind of go, oh, they've got it all. It's just you don't know their story.
Right.
You don't know.
Don't know. You don't know what they've overcome and the challenges that they faced. And yeah, the challenge is that there are some days that are still hard. I mean, all these years after losing my sister. So yeah, it's but I wanted to write a book about that. And then when Laura said that she was putting together this book for small business owners and you could do a LinkedIn chapter, I'm like, well, that seems just up my alley. So
Easy peasy.
yes, in answer to Michelle's question, I am thinking at some point of doing it, but I want to figure out how I can differentiate myself from other people that have written LinkedIn centered books. So that's why I'm not ready yet to hit the green light. And then this other book project, honestly, Julia, I am so crazy busy with my 3 kids that I could be like thinking this over in my head for the next 10 years. And then once the last one goes to college, I'll be like, that book.
Hey, been there, done that. My first book took 21 years to write. But then once I started writing it, it was like floodgates and boom, 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 and I'm up to number 5 and working on number 6. So yeah, it's great. But, that's what happens is sometimes books are about timing. And I have a couple books myself that I want to write, but I don't quite know what's in it for the reader. And until I can figure out what's in it for the reader, I don't want to just be telling my stories. And unless you're a celebrity, sometimes people don't care about your stories.
Yeah, so it's about the name. Yeah, it's about the name.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So Debbie says, great to see you guys and always great to meet LinkedIn connections in real life. Yes, yes. Team Live. We love it. We love it. Hello from Atlanta, Georgia. We love that.
It's probably much warmer in Atlanta right now than it is in Northeast Ohio.
Yes, yes. Thank you for joining us today, Marcello. We love that. And he's getting to know everybody else in the house. We love it. We love it. Let's see. Okay, I'm just scooting down in case we have some. Okay, this still okay. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. That's great. And okay, challenges do make you stronger. And of course, Michelle's gloating that she's calling it from Pensacola, where it's nice and sunny.
It's like little digits right here with lots of snow. Thanks, Michelle. I'll just close my eyes and picture myself in Florida on a sandy beach right there.
Exactly. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about, which I think is kind of a real strength in this project, is everybody knows you write a book and then you launch your book and then comes the real marketing. And people kind of think, oh, a book is just going to sell itself. And it's not true. You have to, marketing is an ongoing thing. So are you continuing to collaborate with your fellow co-authors to keep the marketing ongoing? What's your sort of marketing strategy?
Yes, a little bit. I want, now that I am part of Laura's community of authors, I do want to chime in on networking opportunities. And there's a lot of people in this book I still have not had get to know you calls with. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunities to team up and help market the book, but help each other with their businesses too. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity just for participating in this.
Got it. And then I have to ask you, what's sort of the biggest lesson that you learned along this journey that it's just like, I had no idea?
I would say the biggest lesson is that you can do it, that it doesn't need to be something that other people do or that is a goal that is it's in the sky and it's not reachable to you, you can do it. That's one of the biggest lessons that I learned, is that I just sat down and I just wrote. And then I submitted it and I thought, well, they're going to have a lot of edits. And there weren't that many edits that came back. So it's like, it's not as daunting as it can look, as it can appear.
I love that. And, it's so true that it's like people think about, writing a book, it's too big. But the thing is that if you can write a blog post, you can then make it bigger and it becomes a chapter, and several chapters, they become the book. And, the next thing you know, you're just like, this book I better write a sequel. This is getting too big. And I think that like, if you break it, what is that old expression? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's the same thing. It's like, how do you write a book? One chapter at a time. How do you write your chapter? In sections?
Yes.
So Deanna, how did you actually write your chapter? Did you actually make an outline, or did you just sit down and it poured out of you?
I think I just sat down and it just poured out. It poured out. And I had to tweak the story a little bit. And I really appreciated Laura challenging me, because when I wrote the story initially, and then she questioned, she's like, well, where were you in your life at this? And I added in, well, I was living in a brand new city, had 3 kids under the age of 7 or 8 at the time. So but going back, I'm like, oh, look at that. There's all the things that I had on. And the outside reader needed to know those things. And so I appreciate Laura challenging me a little bit and saying, okay, tell us a little bit more here. Fill in the blanks. So that's one thing that I like about having a publisher that will hold you accountable to tell us more.
Yes, I can see that. And then sort of what's your timeline in terms of when you said, I'm going to be a part of this project, to when it actually, the book came out?
Yes. It was months. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Like 6 months or almost a year?
At the very first, I'd have to go back in my calendar, but I believe the very initial call that we had was March. And then I started writing it in May. And then it was published in October. So
too bad.
It was quick.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Because I know sometimes people, the timeline for a typical book can be, for some people, 2 years. Yeah. And if you throw in working with a traditional publisher, sometimes you have to add on another 6 months to a year, because they take a long time to kind of get the ducks in the row for the book to be in the bookstore, and the placement and the distribution and yada, yada, yada. So it can be actually a very long process. That's actually why I like self-publishing, because you can go as fast as you want. It's like, nope, I'm just going to do it. So that's good. And I guess what was the other? Gone out of my brain. Basically, what has this done for you? So now that you've written the book, are you finding that, I guess you got to know 21 other people and their audiences, but what has it done for you in terms of your own professional journey?
I think that it's been a learning experience, and a really good one. I can actually say next month, I will be celebrating 5 years in business. And if you would have told me 5 years ago that one of the milestones I'd reach in that last year was writing a chapter in a book, I would have been like, okay, I don't understand, but okay. And it just kind of organically happened. It was something that I had wanted to do. And now I can actually say it's done. And now it's just about getting the word out about it, about making sure that people see the awesomeness that is in this, and that they get a chance to read it. So yeah, it's been really, I mean, you can kind of tell from the look on my face, that smile, like there's been nothing bad that I would have to say about the entire process. It was really awesome. It was really a fantastic learning experience.
Awesome. I'm happy for you. So that's
Thank you.
that's great. It's been just great overall. So
Yeah.
is there any kind of final, as we're almost at the end of our time, is there any sort of final words of wisdom you want to share or anything else you'd like to share with everybody?
Yeah, the name of the book, it's the Complete Small Business Growth Guidebook. And then you can get it on Amazon, and they have a digital copy in addition to the hard copy. So if you want to upload it to Kindle or whatever your digital reader is, you can do that.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being with us today, Deanna, and sharing your story and sharing your journey. And we look forward to just seeing where else you go with this. It's always a joy and a pleasure. And it's just so nice to see you so happy. So I'm really happy about that. Okay, thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Easy Peasy Books, From Author to Authority. If you found value in today's episode, I'd be grateful if you could leave us a review. It helps other aspiring authors discover our podcast. To learn more about writing, publishing, and leveraging your business book, visit my website at easypeasybooks.com.